So the Salem's been in this game for quite a while, and I don't play it a lot because I usually just will play a Des Moines when I'm playing thinking of playing a American heavy cruiser. And I think a lot of people overestimate how powerful the Salem heal is. If you didn't know, the Salem heal is close to a Minotaur heal. It's not quite there, but you do get the massive HP regeneration of 23,840 per heal. You get 4 of them, which is pretty incredible. The problem is you actually saturate a lot, and your heal won't be healing that 23,000 damage back for most of your heals. Usually I get around 2 heals off that are full, and then the last 2 are pretty small in comparison. And the main reason is a lot of the damage you're taking, you can only heal back like 50% of it, let's say. Like from overpens and HE full pens, that kind of thing. And if you get citadeled, yeah, that's really bad. I think it's like 33% for cruisers they can heal back, which is not amazing for a heal of this caliber. And what you give up with Salem is actually the radar. The radar, you can see, is only 8.5 kilometers instead of the usual Des Moines 10-kilometer radar, which is a big difference. That extra kilometer and a half means that you're not really that useful as a radar cruiser unless you're really, really close. And it's much easier for enemy destroyers to not get caught in your radar. You can see that I'm not that far away from this cap, and I can only radar half of it. To be fair, Des Moines wouldn't be able to radar this whole cap either. It's a pretty big cap, but it is tricky to make use of the radar on this thing. So what does that mean? Your main focus is damage dealing. You do have the same guns as Des Moines with the same reload, same armor scheme, that kind of thing. So you're just focusing on trying to get the most damage out as possible. You'll notice I am running range mod. That's just kind of a necessity these days. And I'm trying to play around islands. That's pretty much the Des Moines playstyle. You're looking to find a good island where you can, try and farm enemy ships as they push into you. Des Moines not all that amazing when people are running away from you. Now, I am going to leave this spot. The reason being, this carrier could come drop us. This is something you have to keep in mind when you're playing in Des Moines. Even if it's a carrier with HE bombs, you don't want to give a carrier a perfect drop on you because you're just sitting on an island. So I risked the turn here. The Thunder had HE, so it was fine. And the CV ended up going after the Amagi anyway. But I'm still happy with my decision to leave, simply because I don't want to eat an entire drop from a carrier. That's really, 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 really bad. So that is something that heavily nerfs the Des Moines Salem playstyle, is when there's a carrier in the game, because you can't just sit on these islands, be undetected, and spam HE over them like I was doing at the beginning. That's what you're trying to do in a non-CV game. You're trying to find islands where, people are forced to get pretty close to you before they actually end up spotting you, and hopefully they're getting spotted by your teammates. Now, the other thing you're going to notice is my gun arcs are actually pretty bad firing backwards, at least for one turret. It's this middle turret, number 2 turret. You see right there how I have one gun on target, and now 2 guns on target right there. And this middle one finally is on target now. So the gun angles backwards are actually worse. Des Moines doesn't deal with that. Both front turrets have the same firing angle backwards with the Des Moines, whereas Salem has this weird, awkward middle turret that doesn't have the same angle as the other front turret. So something to keep in mind. A little quirk that this ship has. I'll note that Bismarck has the same problem compared to Tirpitz. Tirpitz, both front guns have the same firing angles backwards, but Bismarck doesn't. The turret closest to the superstructure has the same problem, where it can't look backwards as much as the front turret. And similarly, the Freddy, Friedrich de Grobe at tier 9, the rear turrets, one of them can fire farther forward than one of the other ones. So these little quirks happen sometimes I don't know if it's intentional or not. It seems like it has to be. The problem is Wargaming's reason for not buffing the Cur first turret angles has been in the past that, well, the turret angles would be mismatched, and that would get confusing for players. But there's already mismatched turret angles in the game, so why is that a problem for the Cur first? Anyways, just a little bit something to think about. And now for the playstyle. You'll notice I left the A cap, and we lost the A cap. But the thing is, I wasn't really going to get much done there. The enemy team is all on the 1 line, and realistically, I'm not going to be putting that much damage in. I would rather go face off where the enemy team is pushing. You'll notice I don't have to deal with that much overmatch. Really, it's just the North Carolina over here that I have to deal with that overmatches me. And he only overmatches my bow because Des Moines and Salem got these massive buffs where our upper belt armor and our deck armor is 30 millimeters. So that NC can't even overmatch me. So it's very, very strong to play a Salem and Des Moines like this. And a Pommern, well, good luck. With 380 millimeter guns, I can go bow in and take no damage from his AP. Unless, of course, he gets good superstructure hits, which is unlikely since our superstructure is pretty small. You'll notice that we are playing relatively aggressive here. And I have to, because we're losing the other side. And this is something you'll get a feel for as you play more, but if you're losing the other side, you have to win the side you're on. And we just have to win this, straight up. There's nothing we can do to you know, we can't just sit here because we're about to get crossfired, you know, by a Thunder, Bismarck, a bunch of other ships, right? So we have to push out of here is the main thing. We have to make a play here. So we're making a play, and we notice the North Carolina. We figure out that he's probably going to be shooting at us. We got to angle to that. That's really the main thing we have to angle to. We don't really care about Alaska HE right now. And you'll see with our heal, we actually don't have that big of a heal, and we haven't even used one of our heals yet. This is what I was talking about earlier, where you actually don't get the full use out of your heals. You see, I only got a 12,000 HP heal that time. Now, obviously, it is still useful to have these big heals, right? You're still relatively tanky, but Salem can't make use out of all of these. You see, I'm just hard capped at 35,000 now. It's rough because most of the damage you take is not this fire damage that you can heal 100% of. So you're never really going to make full use out of your heals. But making these plays is very important. So we're winning this side. Our Amagi? Yeah, our Amagi pushed through the mid and is helping us finish off the Alaska. So now we've got a little bit of space to maneuver. And I'm thinking, well, where is this USS Kid? And I think, okay, I'll go into the cap. If it's contested, we know he's still in the cap. He's still in the cap. So this means that we're able to catch him. We're spotted right now. There he is. I think he got spotted by Amagi? There's no way I spotted him. So we wait for our guns to be back up, and we pop our radar. So radar is very useful when you're close like this. It's definitely more useful, I would say, than a Hydra. We get Confederate with Halsey. If you don't know what that does, it gives you 20% faster reload, which is very good for something like a Salem or a Des Moines. Really anything. 20% reload's very good. My aim is not amazing with these guns. This is the first game I played in this ship in a very long time. I don't tend to play my Des Moines all that often anymore, because it is more of a close-range ship like this. Usually games do call for a lot more sniping. You'll notice that the dispersion's not particularly good on these guns, and that's something that you can definitely run in the build is dispersion module, but I prefer to run turret traverse because the turret traverse is pretty slow, and this ship excels at close range with at least its gun power. The turret traverse really holds it back sometimes. So our AA, while it used to be very strong on a Salem/Des Moines, it's no longer that strong. This is a tier 8 carrier, and yeah, we're shooting down planes, but not all that many planes. It's mainly the defensive fire that's going to help you out. But even then, if a tier 10 carrier wants to drop you, you're not going to be shooting down that many planes in a Salem or Des Moines. He'll definitely get a strike off. So if he's got AP bombs, for example, watch out. That's why you don't want to play the island stationary playstyle when there's a carrier around, because even against tier 8 carrier, I'm struggling to shoot down his planes. So imagine a tier 10. Yeah, it'd be nice if the AA cruisers actually had AA, you know? But regardless, you can play this thing open water. Salem can play open water more than Des Moines, I would say, just because of the heal. Even if you can't get the full use out of these heals, it does give you the opportunity to play more open water, because you're not ever going to be waiting for your heal to come back up and you're going to die, that kind of thing. Generally, these heals can sustain you for a long time. Des Moines sometimes can get into positions where it doesn't last very long with its, much smaller heals. So we're pushing into the smoke, a nice way to push in. Unfortunately for us, the Thunder is coming back. And the biggest problem with that is the Thunder overmatches us everywhere, and he's the most accurate battleship in the game. Very large problems, I would say. So I'm trying to get the carrier out, because, well, if we're going to hope to win this game, we have to kill their carrier. He's on such low HP, and he's just getting so much free damage on our ships. I'm using AP because I'm sure you guys know that AP pen angles on Des Moines and Salem guns are very good. They have improved auto bounce angles where even if the ship is relatively well angled, you're still going to full pen through a lot of that stuff. Now we're all alone here, and I make a few mistakes here at the end. We do have some pretty solid damage so far, 180k, but I think I could have won this game if I had played this a little bit differently. If I was a little bit more passive, I think what I should have done here is I actually think I should have gone dark. Also, Thunder HE is kind of BS too. See that? 15k and a fire? Yeah, doesn't matter how I angle to that. So there's our heal, but you'll notice we don't even get a full heal after that HE salvo. That's the problem with Salem. I think its heal is overhyped. I would say definitely an overhyped heal. So what should have I done here? I should have turned around. I should have gone dark if I could, and turned around, hooked up with my Amagi and Zhao, maybe helped push out the C-cap, but I don't. I decide to keep pushing here, and really that's a pretty dumb play because, well, pushing into a Thunder is a really bad play. I don't know why I thought I could make that work, but regardless, this game probably would have been a loss anyway. I don't get back in time to really help reset the C-cap. And with their daring where he is, I probably would have stayed spotted anyway, and they would have gotten the D-cap. So this game was probably over. Unfortunately, our team just kind of didn't offer up much resistance. You'll see that later on, that this game had no business being this close, but we definitely helped keep it closer. So I thought, you know what, maybe I can deal with a Thunder on 35k HP. That's, if we get 5k damage out of our AP salvos, that's a few salvos and he's dead. But a Mogami pops up, and we definitely need to deal with that before we deal with the Thunder, because that HE pressure and torps and that will kill us. And there you go. Huge AP hits. And I mess up by not angling in time. So we die to the Thunder. And that's the rest of our game done. So 245k, not bad. I do like Des Moines and Salem. They are good ships. But yeah, this was not a close game without us being here. So 6 kills, Kraken, Confederate. This is kind of the play style of Salem. And there you go, 1.6k base on a loss. Unfortunate, but still a fun game. I had a lot of fun playing this one. This play style can be a lot of fun if you're able to push in, but we all know tier 10 these days, it's hard to push in. So playing a Salem or a Des Moines is kind of tricky these days, but there are opportunities like this where you can have some pretty solid games. So the way I've got my Salem built is definitely a hybrid build. We're not going all out for concealment, but you'll see we do still have concealment. But the main stars of the show are top grade gunner and heavy HE and sap shells. This gives you a bonus to your HE damage, and you can see we've got up over 3,000 maximum HE shell damage, which results in some pretty heavy hits from your HE. This does nerf our concealment a little bit, but I personally find 12.5 kilometers workable in this ship. And anytime an enemy ship is spotted within this range, you actually get an 8% main battery reload. I don't think the full lighthouse builds are viable. I think you still want to run some concealment. You know, by lighthouse build, I mean intentionally nerfing your concealment as much as you can to get this 8% reload buff. I think on Salem and Des Moines, you get about 15.5 kilometers of concealment, which is not good and not something you should be trying to use, I don't think. Unless you're trying to just meme and have fun or whatever. Because it is kind of fun to try it, but I don't think it's all that competitive. But I do like this hybrid build where you have decent concealment still, enough to get into these interesting positions. But then when you are at these close range fights, you get a reasonable buff to your reload. You can get almost 4 seconds of reload with this thing. So that's pretty crazy for the quality of these guns. Adrenaline Rush, pretty standard. Superintendent is something that you probably don't need on this ship because the heals aren't actually that amazing. The radars are hard to get use out of, that kind of thing. But this is also for my Des Moines captain and other American cruisers. So Superintendent's kind of good for those. Gun Feeder, because, you know, shell switch times minus 75% is pretty amazing. So you're just instantly whatever shell you want. And Grease the Gears. I find that having the stock turret traverse on the ship is just too... It's just not good. So I like having that ability to switch my turrets around very quickly. And you'll notice I have Eye in the Sky still. But that's because these skills aren't actually all that amazing. I don't really find use out of these. So if I want to run the stupid spotter plane Des Moines build or something like that, that's why I have this. I don't really find any of these all that particularly useful, so that's why I've done that. But if you want to, you could definitely run Priority Target. If you're someone who feels that skill is necessary, definitely run that instead. And here's my consumables. So main armaments, because getting into close range fights against another Salem or Des Moines or even a Petro, something like that, the fight is all about using AP and breaking each other's guns. So getting a little bit of extra main battery survivability, definitely good on this ship. This is, I don't know, you can take either one, but I take risk of, reduce the risk of catching fire. And here you see more turret traverse buffs. You can see I get it down to 21.7 seconds, which is actually reasonable. But Aiming Systems Mod 1 is also a very good upgrade for this ship. You'll see I'm running Prop Mod because you're playing around islands a lot and you want to be maneuverable in the forward reverse department. That's usually what you're going to be doing, popping in and out of islands, that kind of thing. So that's a good thing to have. Concealment, because we just need better concealment. I run Range Mod because you do need the extra range in Tier 10 battles these days. When I first got Salem, I ran Reload because it was just so fun to play this hyper-aggressive Des Moines with a good heal and just go crazy on the reload, but that's not really all that viable these days. It's possible on some maps, and I probably could have gotten away with it on that Two Brothers map, but there's other maps that it doesn't really work on, and I don't want to roll the dice that hard when I'm trying to play this ship. So Salem's pretty fun, and for your coal, if you don't have a Des Moines, it's a pretty solid ship to get, because you don't have to grind the line, and you basically get a Des Moines, so it's a good ship. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a great day.